Lena?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, we are. I see it on my side. So, you guys, I have the great honor of introducing. A lot of you may already follow her as Ritual Remedies, but I know her as my sister. I call her Mambo Tessa. So I want to introduce. How would you prefer, Tessa? You want to be? How would you prefer to be introduced?
Ritual Remedies is fine. That's my business page. Tessa's also fine. It's
Okay.
whatever folks are comfortable with.
So, Ritual Remedies Herbalist, and tonight she's gonna talk to us about some herbs, hopefully about some things that we can do to maybe boost our immune system. I'm completely clueless, so I'm gonna kind of let her do a lot more of the talking because I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all want to kind of connect with her anyway. So if you have questions, please type them out. So because we have her for a little bit of time, she has something that she has to do after this. And I just want to make sure that everybody gets as much information as they possibly can. So babe, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about what Tessa does.
Sure. Well, thank you for that introduction. I love you. It's so nice to see you. And like, I feel like we're hanging out and stuff. So yeah, my name is Tessa. You can Tessa, Mambo Tessa, it's whatever. I don't really split hairs on it. I'm a community herbalist in practice here in New Orleans, and I work in a shop. And basically what I do is I just talk to people about their health concerns, stuff they have going on, and I make recommendations for, you know, herbal formulas. I'll make teas, I'll blend up tinctures, you know, it's basic recommendations, stuff like that. I also teach classes about like clearing and tending the energy in your home, and also working with herbs as not just physical, but also energetic medicines. So kind of, I guess you could say like practical magic with like plants, I suppose, or working with them on a more like vibrational level, like flower essences, stuff like that. And then I'm also
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. And I'm also initiated as a mambo, and I do readings as well.
She's extremely gifted, you guys. Very, very talented. If you don't follow her, you need to follow her. I was gonna say, what was it, Tessa? About maybe 4 months ago, I was burning up, you guys. Like
yes,
I was having
I remember
hot flashes, and I was like, okay, I need something. And so I was like, okay, I got to go to Tessa because she has to have a recipe or something that's going to stop it. So she made this tincture for me, and now I ain't gonna lie, it took me a little while to get used to the taste of it. I was kind of like, oh. But at that point, I was like, anything that makes me feel better, then I need to go ahead and take it. And it worked. It really worked. It helped a lot with the hot flashes. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm sold on it. So I can attest to your work. I can attest to the quality of your work. It was excellent. Now,
thank you. It's all the plants. So the plants do it.
And you know what? You know your stuff. You know your stuff. If you've ever gone to her IG, her baths and things like that are amazing. They're beautiful. I mean, she puts together, I'm gushing on her because she's my sister and I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she really knows her stuff, you guys. So if y'all have any questions or whatever, just go ahead and start typing it up. Now, Tessa, with everything going on right now with the virus, and I mean, you know, of course, we know preventive things like washing our hands and, you know, social distancing. What could some people be doing right now with herbs that could help boost their immunity?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. And kind of before I go into that, because it's like a three-pronged thing right now, people are really needing like immune support. And then people who may or may not be feeling stuff going on need like respiratory support. And then I think everybody, just because of how stressful this is, you know, like our lives have changed overnight. It's just really stressful. The like news articles are coming out day after day after day. So it's a really stressful time. So I'm gonna talk about nervous system support as well. But first, if it's okay with y'all, I just wanted to kind of do like a quick little, like what herbalism is, what herbal medicine is, what it is not, things to be aware of. That's cool with y'all?
Yes, I'm just gonna shut up and let you run the show, Mambo. Sure. Go.
Sure. So I think for a lot of folks who are new to herbal medicine, working with plants as medicine, there's this tendency to think of, oh, this herb is for this symptom. And so it's almost kind of like that allopathic mindset. And what an allopathic mindset means is like, this drug does this. It's like, I take an aspirin for a headache. I take a this for that. And herbs are actually much more like a full spectrum thing. They really help support our body, be in homeostasis and be in optimal health. So I think like recognizing that herbs are more than just like chemical factories that have these like active constituents, which they do have. Herbs have things like tannins and alkaloids and carbohydrates and saccharides and saponins and like all these fancy words you don't really need to know. But so they have these, they like literally have these molecules and these chemicals in them that, you know, have an impact on your physiology. But beyond that, you know what I mean? They have like way more to offer. So if you're really interested in plant medicine, at the end, I'm going to recommend some books. And I tend to work with like a holistic, almost more folk approach, where it's like herbs are really like.
Let me get my pen. I knew I should have got my notebook. Okay, keep talking.
Am I going too fast?
Get my notebook.
Okay, am I going too fast?
No. I'm going to get a pen. Keep talking.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. You know, that the herbs really will interact with your body in a lot of different ways. A couple of things to be aware of if you're starting to work with herbs is herbs can and do interact with prescription medications. So if they're prescription medications you take on a regular basis, you know, feel free to book like a miniature little 15-minute chat. We can talk about your prescriptions and whatever it is that you're taking and see what herbs would be safe with those. Also be aware of any potential allergies you may have. You know, people can have like idiosyncratic reactions to almost anything. I know people who can't drink chamomile tea because it makes them feel itchy and bothered, you know, but then it's like all kinds. If you have any food allergies or you're allergic to certain plants, obviously you don't want to make those as teas or tinctures and ingest them. And yeah, be aware of your prescription medications, pre-existing conditions. You know, some herbs can exacerbate high blood pressure. Not using an herb for the same thing you're using a medication for, because they can kind of exacerbate each other. And also another thing to be aware of too is this is a little bit more kind of like out there and slightly more advanced, but it's a good thing to be aware of is that tissue states. So like the states of the tissues of the body. So they're like hot and dry tissue states. So like a hot and a dry cough would be like a really dry, ragged, irritated cough that has like no mucus, for example. And like a cold and a damp cough would be like a really boggy, wet cough where there's a lot of mucus coming out. So herbs will also, there are herbs that are warming, there are herbs that are drying, there are herbs that are cooling, and there are herbs that are moistening. And so where I remember, because I jotted some notes really quickly, I'll kind of touch base on that as well. So just kind of a quick little thing. And then some basic herbal preparations that everybody could work with would be like syrups, where basically you make a really strong tea of your herbs. If it's a root or a bark or a berry, you want to actually simmer it on about a medium to low heat for about 15 to 20 minutes or even longer. You just don't want to boil it all the way. And if it's like a leaf or a flower, like the above ground part of the plant, so you want to infuse it. So you boil your water and you pour it over and then you let it sit for at least 30 minutes. So it has extracts the medicine. And then what you do is you would kind of incorporate honey into that in almost like equal proportions to liquid, or like a third of the amount of liquid you have. You want to add in that amount of honey so you can make your syrup and it would preserve it. Another thing with teas, what I just said, you could simmer it or infuse it. Tinctures are alcohol-based extracts where you take the herb fresh or dry, you put it in a mason jar and you pour your alcohol over it. For most of y'all at home, you don't need to make like standard extracts. So you can just use 80 proof or higher, like vodka or brandy are great. Some people really like rum. You know what I mean? And so like a folkloric tincture, how you would make a tincture yourself is, let's see. If I have so this is a really huge jar. So what you would do is you would fill out your jar, probably not make this much, but you would take your mason jar. If you want to fill it up about this full, like about to where the herbs are in here with your dry herb, top it off with your vodka or your brandy or so by about 2 or 3 inches. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to shake it up every day. You know what I mean? Just kind of like that. So it kind of infuses and mixes around in there. You want to leave it in here, shake it once a day for about 4 to 6 weeks, which is a long time. But, you know, I'll tell you places where you can order tinctures in the meantime, but then you would strain it through like cheesecloth and you would just bottle it up and take it by the dropper full or so. And then another good thing for stuff like this specifically would be like facial steams, where you combine different herbs that kind of help open up the sinuses, open up the lungs. So you take your bowl, you put your herbs in there, you pour your boiled water over it. You can put in your essential oil drops, like eucalyptus is a good one, rosemary is a good one, peppermint are good ones for like congested stuff. And you can put a towel over your head and just lean over there and just take in your breaths.
Okay, so
So,
hold up, Tessa. Let's go back to the tincture. Now,
okay.
you're saying that you half with the herbs and then whatever, say vodka or rum the other way, and then you're gonna let it sit for 4 to 6 weeks, and then you just strain it with cheesecloth.
Yeah, or like through a little wire strainer, like a fine wire strainer. And you want to make sure you shake it up every day.
Okay. Okay, I
Yeah.
missed the shake. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, if we're all good there, I'll go into things we want to focus on at times like this. So I broke it down into 3 sections, like immune system stuff, nervous system, and also a little bit of like spiritual and energetic stuff is going to be in there with the immune system, and then respiratory stuff, if that's cool with y'all.
Yeah, no, do
Sure.
it.
Yeah. So as everybody's aware, the immune system is our body's like line of defense against, viruses, bacteria, things like that, allergens, these things that our body registers as foreign invaders. Our body will produce a lot of white blood cells to go and attack those things, which is how we overcome viruses. So, when we're sick, when we have a cold, a fever is, that's an immune response. The mucus, all that stuff, those are all immune responses. So there are times like these where you want to, I think in general, working with herbs that we call immune modulators, which are like tonics that build up the immune system over time, right? So things like medicinal mushrooms, you have things like chaga, you have reishi, those are really great ones. Chaga it's like a fungus and it forms on birch bark, like birch trees that are rotting. And it's been used for a very long time as like an anti-cancer herb, an immune boosting herb. And then reishi is another mushroom that's used a lot in traditional Chinese medicine. You can get it in like long strips at the herb shop, and you throw that into soup.
Yeah.
Reishi is great. If you have the powder, put a scoop of your powder into your smoothie, put a few strips of it into a soup and just simmer it away. And just because you can really infuse these tonic herbs into everything. You can cook with them. You can take them as teas. They're really, really great. And then another immune modulating herb that I really, really like is astragalus. So astragalus also comes to like Western herbal medicine from the traditional Chinese system. And what astragalus is, it's like a chi tonic. And so chi is like the vital life force of the body. And astragalus helps to build that up. And it also helps to kind of build up and support steadily the immune system. So those are just really good examples of herbs you could take all the time. They're like tonic herbs. So tonic herbs are almost like foods. So by working with herbs like that, you kind of help your immune system be at its prime. And then, so then we're going to talk about immune stimulants a little bit. So immune stimulants, these are herbs you want to work with when you're feeling like maybe your throat's starting to be scratchy, maybe you're starting to get a little symptom here or there. So you want to stimulate your immune system. So stimulants are not the same as tonics. So you want to, I tend to use these herbs only when I need them. And among those are ones, here's one that everybody has heard of, is echinacea. Echinacea is a really, really great herb. It's native to North America. It's like the purple cone flower. You could take a tincture of echinacea root by the dropper full every couple hours if you start to feel like a sore throat coming on, or like maybe you're getting sick or something like that. So that's for when you're already getting sick. Another one would be like usnea. Usnea is a lichen that grows on trees. That's another really good one for like stimulating the immune system. Other ones that come to mind would be things like, like olive leaf is a really great antiviral herb, or like an immune supporting herb that helps with virus stuff. Let's see, what are some other good ones that I really like? There's so many. Oh my gosh. Garlic is a really good immune modulator, but you can also like eat large amounts of garlic. If you start feeling under the weather, it can kind of help kick things into gear.
I live on garlic.
Garlic is wonderful. Garlic is really, really wonderful. You can even make a cough syrup out of like onion and garlic, and it's really, really yummy.
Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
I love onion and garlic. And you can make a cough syrup out of it?
You can. One of my first teachers, her name's Rosemary Gladstar. I'm sure like a lot of folks who are into herbal medicine have probably heard of her, but she was talking about in a class about how she lived in this cabin in like the 70s when she was like riding a horse like through California, and she had like an old wooden cook stove. And so she just took like a pot and cut up her onion and cut up her garlic and put it in there and put the jar of honey on there because the heat was low, and she just kind of let it sit there throughout the whole winter. So you can definitely
Okay,
make like syrup that way.
hold up, Tessa. You got you have some people that are saying, can you repeat the name of the herbs that stimulate the chi?
Oh, astragalus. Astragalus
Astragalus.
is it's a really good immune building herb and a good life force building herb. I like it too, like especially if people have gone through like chemotherapy, you're not currently undergoing chemotherapy because herbs and chemo don't mix. But if you're trying to recover from that, or you're trying to recover from a long illness, astragalus is really, really nice to kind of help build you back up.
Okay, and somebody's asking about slippery elm. What is
Slippery
that?
elm is really great. I was going to talk about that a little bit when I got to like the respiratory section.
Okay.
But sure. But slippery elm, like marshmallow root, herbs like that are moistening herbs. Because when you make them into a tea, they make really good cold infusions. Like you can make them with like room temperature water. I mean, what will happen is you leave it for like at least 30 minutes or so. The water will start to get thick and kind of slimy. And so what that is that's called mucilage. And mucilage is like, I might be wrong on this, but I believe it's a carbohydrate. And it's really, really soothing and moistening to the mucous membrane. So it's good for the throat. It's good for the stomach. It's really, really good. Slippery elm, there's like a fungus called Dutch elm disease, which actually makes elm trees sick. So sometimes elm can be a little bit scarcer. So marshmallow root is you can use it the same way as slippery elm. It's also more common. And the thing is a lot of times, because herbalism has become so popular and plant medicine has become so popular, what happens is these producers or harvesters of the medicine, they'll actually girt the whole tree. And when you girt a tree, you take the bark off all around the tree. And what it does is actually kills the tree. So I personally like to substitute marshmallow root where I would normally use slippery elm, but you're free to use either one, like whatever you have access to. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. And so besides that, and those are really great questions. Those are really wonderful herbs. Tips in general for like a healthy immune system, we make sure that you're eating like a nourishing, healthy diet. You know, I know that we're trying to get in and get out of the grocery store as quickly as possible. So we're going to kind of like snack food. Some people who have access to this financial means are probably getting a lot of delivery food, but be sure you're really being intentional about the foods you put in your body. Eat a lot of green vegetables, eat a lot of brightly colored root vegetables, like, you know, beets and sweet potatoes, you know, yams, these things that have deep, deep color are really, really good for the body. If you can afford it, organic produce is always great because produce is sprayed with a lot of pesticides and that can build up in the body and be harmful over time. But if you can't afford that, there's nothing wrong with that. Work with what you have. Like that's like a huge principle of herbal medicine is like, it's what you have on hand. It's the people's medicine. So don't panic if you don't have like raw organic honey or organic beets or, you know what I mean? Like that's great, but we all know that they overprice those things and they make like organic, good quality food and produce, like a luxury item that very few people who don't have resources can actually access. So like use what you have, you know?
Okay.
Make sure you're getting like protein, make sure you're getting lots of fiber, lots of fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, especially citruses, like oranges with vitamin C. You want that. You want to cook with healthy fats and healthy oils. It's like really good quality olive oils, coconut oils, even like shocker. Like butter is actually also like a good fat, you know? Yeah, you want to make sure that you're also getting adequate exercise. So even though we are under quarantine, we're not supposed to like, we're under stay at home orders. So there's a difference between like I think this is something too, like when you're quarantined, you are locked down. Like you are not allowed to leave. Like you're locked in a room in a hospital, you're isolated. You're not allowed to interact with anybody around you. Like food has to be left at your door. So we're not really quarantined. We're under a stay at home order. And a lot of people I think are struggling with that. But the reason why they're doing it like that is because there are people in all of our communities who have diseases like lupus or Lyme disease or HIV, or they're undergoing cancer treatments, or they're elderly, or they have other autoimmune diseases. And, you know, these people are especially vulnerable. Their immune system can't fight it off in the same way. So think of it less as like, I'm being locked away as like, I'm a healthy person. I'm at less risk to develop a serious complication from this disease. So like by me staying home, if I do possibly have this and I'm carrying it, by me staying home, I'm being responsible and I'm mitigating the harm that could come to others. So this is a good time for us to be like compassionate and aware of the impact our actions and our choices have on other people. For sure. So back to adequate exercise. Don't stay inside your house all day. I promise you, you're going to go crazy. The air's going to get stale. You're going to eat all your snacks. You're going to watch all the good Netflix. You're going to lose it. Go outside, like open your door, go water your plants, take a walk down the street, take a walk down the park, stay 6 feet away from everybody. If you have gloves, wear them. If you have a mask, wear it. Don't touch your face when you're out. Don't touch a lot of things when you're out. When you come home, be sure to wash your hands for 20 seconds, hot soap, hot water. If you're out, if you ran out of soap, hand sanitizer is fine. But, I think moving through the panic, I think is going to be really important. So go outside, take your shoes off, put your feet in the dirt, ground out, stop reading the news stories, stop watching CNN. Like, the pandemic and the chaos are still going to be there afterwards. Stress is actually really bad for the immune system. People who are under a lot of stress, you'll see things like, has everybody heard of shingles?
Yeah, well, I know I have.
Yeah. So what shingles is anytime that you come down with like any of like the herpes simplex viruses, whether it's chicken pox, which is a herpes virus, or whether it's like oral herpes or genital herpes, whatever it is, like those viruses, they go dormant in your body. They don't really ever fully go away. And so what happens is if you're not taking care of yourself, you're eating a poor diet, you're going too hard, you're not taking care of yourself, your stress level is really, really high, you'll have these outbreaks. And so like older folks or people who are really stressed out will get shingles because their immune system takes a dip and then their chicken pox comes back.
Oh,
and
geez.
you know what I mean? So just put your feet in the dirt, like take deep breaths, drink water, make some tea, like take a walk, go outside. It's going to be totally fine. And also drink lots and lots of water. Drink lots and lots of water. Vitamin D is great. Sit outside, let the sun get on you. Does that all make sense?
Of course.
Perfect. Another thing I wanted to touch on is I know some articles got passed around about like elderberry causing like a cytokine reaction or like a cytokine storm. And in my experience as like a herbalist and all of the other herbalists, like practicing herbalists that I've talked to, we've not really ever heard of that being a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like elderberry is fairly safe. And even if that were to happen, you'd have to take like so much of it. But if it's something you're worried about, it's a really great immune modulator. But if you start to feel sick, maybe switch to something like another one of those herbs we talked about if like the news about elderberry makes you nervous. But like I don't necessarily know if that's like really happening, but it's like hard to say. So if you feel nervous about it, stay away from the elderberry. But like in my opinion, in the opinion of all the other herbalists that I know, like we're all pretty much in agreement that it's fairly safe.
I take a drop of elderberry every day, like every
One
morning.
drop?
Yeah, I just have a dropper. Sierra sent me a little bottle of it and I just take a drop every morning. And that's what I do. I've never had an issue with it.
Like a small, like a drop dose, just one drop, that'd be almost like homeopathic. That'd be like a really, really small amount. But so to get like medicinal benefit, there's some people who like to take drop doses of herbs like that. But usually what we recommend is you take like 1 to 2 or like full squirts, like full dropper fulls, like 2 or 3 times a day as like, if you want to work with like a tonic.
2 to 3 times a day?
Yeah. Or even if you just want to like put a squirt or 2 in your water bottle and drink it throughout the day, like that's fine too. Or like if you have elderberry syrup, you could take a spoonful in the morning time as part of your daily like wake up and go routine.
Okay.
Yeah. Elderberry is wonderful. So those are kind of my immune tips. I suppose I'm trying to keep it like really like succinct because it's a really huge topic and I don't want to be like, blah, because I can like nerd out and go crazy.
You know what? They can always contact you if they want to go deeper into it. I mean, especially if they have custom blends or something that they want to try, but they're not comfortable trying to make it themselves. They can always reach out to you. Now
and like,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and also too, like with herbal consults specifically, like I offer sliding scales for herb stuff, and what that means, it's based off of like income, and if you don't have a lot of expendable income, you know what I mean. Like usually I do like 47, but if $47 to talk to an herbalist for a half hour and get recommendations and like formulas or whatever, if that's too much for you, like message me, we can work it out. You know what I mean? Like herbal medicine is like for everybody. Like nobody should not have access because they can't afford it.
Absolutely. Now, when you have somebody who contacts you for a consult, I'm pretty sure that they're kind of having to give their medical history and the prescriptions and things that they're taking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I like to talk about that stuff. I do miniature consults, so it's like 30 minutes. I'm a community herbalist. I'm not like a clinical herbalist in that sense, but using the resources I have available to me, I'll go over your medical history, medications that you're taking, allergies you may have. And then usually in like a 30-minute consult, we can talk about we can focus on like one specific issue. We can kind of go in depth in that. And like usually what I'll do is I'll recommend, like tonic herbs, maybe a tincture blend, maybe flower essences, like stuff like that people can work with. It's like fairly simple. Like there are other herbalists who I'm happy to refer people to, who will do like 90-minute full, like in depth. They'll go over your medical history with like a fine tooth comb,
Right.
like no joke. I know herbalists who like practice at that level. And if that's what you're looking for, send me a message, let me know, and I'll be happy to give you information, resources to contact them as well.
Perfect. Let me see. I'm trying to see if we have any questions. Do you see comments on your side?
I do not.
You don't? Okay, so let's see. So we got 64 comments. So let me see if I can bring something up.
Oh my goodness.
Sierra wanted to know, have you ever made lemon oil?
You mean like lemon essential oil?
I think so.
Yeah. So essential oils are really tricky because you need special equipment. Essential oils are usually steam distilled. So you need like a still to make them. They're pretty expensive, but you can get them from like Spain and Portugal, and they're usually made of copper. But certain things like citrus fruits, rosemary, herbs that like when you touch them, it leaves the smell like on your hands. Those are really high in like volatile aromatic oils. So those you'll usually get a good yield with those. But I have not ever personally made essential oils. No, I've infused oils and like infused herbs and olive oil to like use topically and stuff, like for salves, but I haven't made essential oils.
Okay, let me see. Let me get you some more questions. Now, I think somebody was asking you to explain the difference between a tonic and a tincture.
Sure. Well, so a tonic, so basically a tincture is just a preparation. It's just like a way that you can take your herbs. So tinctures are alcohol-based extracts. Usually for people at home, they're made with like 80 to 100 proof, like brandy or vodka, what have you. But so a tonic is an herb that's used in herbal medicine to refer to an herb that's almost like a food that will actually build up and strengthen and tone a particular body system. So you have like tonics with an affinity for the cardiac system. So things like hawthorn berry, garlic, you know what I mean? Things that will build up, strengthen the heart. You have respiratory tonics, which I'm going to talk about here shortly, like mullein, red clover, things that are just good for the lungs in general. You also have like kidney tonics, like dandelion leaf. That's a really good tonic for the kidneys and the urinary system. There's liver tonics that are supportive to liver health, like dandelion root, burdock root, milk thistle. So tonics are really, are just gotu kola is a great tonic herb. Herbs that just have like a tonifying and strengthening effect on the different systems of the body. I hope that clarifies it.
Yeah, I think it's good. You want to talk about respiratory herbs before I have to let you go? Because I know you got somewhere you got to run.
Sure, I can go a little bit over. I wanted to talk about like nervous system support herbs too, real quick, if that's okay.
Go ahead. I'm not going to even talk. Just do your thing.
Sure. I don't even know what time it is, but we're going for it. I said I could go 15 minutes over, so it's all good. So because of how crazy everything is right now, the world is in this like panic state, like, you know what I mean? So if you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling really stressed out, stuff like that, your body, as it is now, does not know the difference between like being stressed out because of the news and being afraid of what's going on in the world, and like being afraid because you're walking through the forest and you hear like a huge bear growling. Do you know what I mean? Like anxiety and stress, things like that. That's the fight or flight response being triggered in your body. So your body's flooding with adrenaline, the cortisol, all those things are flowing through your body. And those things can be damaging to your health in the long term. So I think everybody, it's hard to not follow the situation, but I think everybody should give themselves like a solid 2 hours of the day. I promise you the numbers aren't going to change that much. And I promise you're going to find out like the biggest update after those 2 hours. But give yourself 2 hours out of every day to not read the news, not watch the news, not be on the Facebook feed looking at like how many cases there are, how many deaths there are, what's Trump saying now, like what's going on. Like give yourself time to not do that. It's really, really bad for you. And also adaptogens are herbs that actually can help support your body so it won't be as impacted by the stress response. And nervous system support herbs are really great for that. So herbs that have an effect on the nervous system, we call those nervines. They can be tonics for the nervous system, and they can also be sedatives for the nervous system. So like I said, the nervous system responds to stimuli, right? It's almost kind of like the electrical wiring in a house, you know, so like getting cut off in traffic, that's like a light switch flipping on. And so all of a sudden, you know, the light bulb pops on and the wires and the walls are flooding with electricity. You know what I mean? They're humming with energy. They're humming with electricity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody at the Costco, like coughs one time and you're like, oh God, you have Corona. And then you're stressed out. Like that's more of that stress energy, like flooding your circuits. So excessive stimuli right now, turn off the news, put down the phone, take baths too. I was going to talk about as like spiritual and nervous system medicine. Take spiritual baths, like especially if you go out and you're in the world and it's chaotic, like if you have access to like hyssop and rue or like lemongrass or fresh basil, whatever, like make it as a tea and like smash the basil up in leaves in the water. And I'm so sorry, this incense has my allergies going. I don't have coronavirus. It's the incense and my nose itches, just so everybody knows. I'm so sorry. You know, smush the basil down in the water, you know, infuse the hyssop, the rue, the lemongrass, whatever, into a tea and then strain it and then go stand in your shower and like add in holy water, or like whatever, you know, and like pour it down, like from the neck down and just like let all that muck wash off of you, put on light colored clothes, stay in your house, stay off the phone, just chill until the next day. You know what I mean? Also take herbs like milky oats. Milky oats, you want to take like a tincture. It's like food for the nervous system. If you don't have milky oats, like eat oatmeal. You know, oats are really, really good for the nervous system. Healthy fats are really good for the nervous system. Skullcap is one of my favorite herbs, especially if you're like me. My anxiety tends to manifest as like thoughts, like runaway trains of thoughts that I can't quite get a hold on sometimes. So skullcap helps to kind of put a lid on that and like calm it down. And, you know, so skullcap is really great, especially if you're mentally overstimulated. Passion flower is really great too. Passion flower for me is really great for that like body anxiety where I feel like I want to come out of my skin. You know, passion flower is really great for coming off the edge. Lemon balm is another really, really good herb for soothing kind of hyperactive nervous system right now. It's also a great antiviral herb. So with a virus going on, with stress going on, I feel like lemon balm really shines right now. If you don't have an herb shop near you, that's fine. You can go to the grocery store. If you have a Whole Foods near you, they have bags of lemon balm tea in the tea section. Lemon balm tea is great. It tastes especially good with honey. Holy basil. Holy basil is another really good one. Holy basil is an adaptogen. So, you know, that means it helps to kind of balance and mitigate your body's stress response. It tastes really, really good. It's like a sacred plant in India. It's also called tulsi. And it's really, really delicious. I find that holy basil and lemon balm mixed together with like a little bit of spearmint tastes so good as a tea. Add some honey in there and you're just like, whoo, you are good to go.
I have both. I've been drinking the holy basil tea, so I'm going to add a lemon balm. I didn't know that, but I'm going to try it tonight.
Yeah. And then, you know, I think everybody is like fairly aware, since you're on Mambo Tonya's page, Florida water is 75% isopropyl alcohol. So to a certain extent, it will disinfect your hands. Do you know what I mean? But it can also be like a nice little spiritual disinfectant in times like this, especially since they're out of hand sanitizer everywhere. You know, if you have Florida water, like put it in your bag, or Colonia 1800, put it in your bag. You know, after you leave the grocery store, like clean your hands off with it when you get home. You know what I mean? Like do whatever your practices are and whatever your spiritual tradition is, however you want to work with that. You know, also those of you who are like part of particular spiritual systems and lineages, like ask your elders how to take care of your energy right now and like how to protect yourself and like keep yourself clean, your home clean, you covered and protected, your family covered and protected. You know what I mean? These are situations where you want to reach out to your elders. Yeah. Oh, and then another one, just in general, like a good like adaptogen a lot of people have heard of is ashwagandha. I typically like to reserve ashwagandha to use for people who are like under severe like adrenal fatigue, like super depleted, like the circles under your eyes are so dark, you're just so stressed out that you just feel like you're gonna drop dead. Like adapted, like ashwagandha is really good there. You know what I mean? But I think for most people, like, no. I would say for most people, like milky oats would be a really good one. Like milky oats, lemon balm, skullcap, passion flower, holy basil, lemon balm. Kava kava is an all right one too. If y'all have access to kava kava, keep in mind that it can be hard on the liver. So if you have pre-existing issues with your liver, maybe go easy on the kava. And also like flower essences. Flower essences were kind of like invented, I guess, by this man named Dr. Edward Bach, who is a white man from England who basically just like wrote what indigenous people and like folks of color and like rural people have known forever, which is plants have like spirits in them and that they have energetic medicine. So he would make these like vibratory, like vibrational remedies. And my favorite one for times like this is yarrow, because yarrow really helps to kind of piece together like those like frayed edges in your energy field. And it's also really helpful if any of you are caregivers. If any of y'all on here are nurses, please go on Amazon.com, even though they're terrible, and order some yarrow flower essence. It's really great for people who take on the issues that other people are going through. You know, it's really good to kind of help protect you. Rue is also a really great protective herb for times like this. Just don't ingest it, like carry it with you in a bag if you're going to work with rue. Perfect. So if there aren't any questions about that, we can move on to respiratory stuff.
Okay, so let me see. No, I think everybody's just adding in things right now. Thank you guys so much for putting your remedies up there and herbs that you work with so that people can kind of come back through and look at this stuff. I feel like I'm on the herbal runaway train right now. Like I'm just trying to catch up. So let's go into the respiratory system.
Sure. I'm sorry. I just feel like I'm trying to squish in like so much.
You are, and
like,
you know why I'm going to tell you why you're doing this, because Mambo Tessa asked me to have all this shit on her page where you need to be doing this weekly. Can we maybe get some herbal news that comes on your page weekly? Maybe
like little like once, like maybe I can do like little recipes and like introduce herbs and stuff like that. Yeah, I could probably work something like that out.
Yeah, maybe we can do that, Mambo. Let's go on now. We'll talk about that later.
And also too, like I can't see everybody's comments. So like, I'm sorry if I'm not addressing them. I can't see them. But like Mambo Tonya was saying, like, you know, if you have remedies you work with and stuff like that, like every single human being alive, herbal medicine is a part of our family. It's a part of our history. So it doesn't matter if you are of European ancestry, indigenous ancestry, of African ancestry, of Asian ancestry, Persian ancestry, whatever it is, like your ancestors worked with herbal medicine. And so those remedies your grandmother taught you, like those are valid. Herbalism is not a legally recognized profession in the United States. And it's also not something you can get like a legally recognized certification in. So as long as you're doing your research and learning your stuff and you're like, you know, in the integrity of your knowledge, like you're practicing good herbal medicine, and like the world needs more herbalists. So like whether it's just you making syrups and fire cider or what have you for your family, like the world needs you doing that. So like, please don't ever feel discouraged. Don't ever feel like I looked at herb schools. I don't have money for an herb school. There's no herbalist near me. Like get a book, order your dry herbs online, like order your tinctures online, order seeds, grow your herbs. Like you can, like apprenticing is great. Going to a herb school is great. But like for being able to take care of your family and folks in your community, you can self-teach, you know, you can read and work with the plants. So like your passion is valid and your like desire to work with plants is valid and your ideas are valid. So like everybody please pursue herbal medicine.
Thank you.
For sure. Yeah. So respiratory, COVID-19 is, so coronaviruses, it's actually like a family of viruses, and they're kind of the hallmark of all the viruses in the coronavirus family are that they kind of look like, this is a really horrible picture, but they look like little cells with like little spikes all over them.
Mm-hmm.
And so corona is Latin for crown. And so basically, like, the coronavirus is not one virus. There's plenty of coronaviruses in the world. Some of them cause common colds you've had in your life, and they attack the respiratory system. They invade respiratory cells and they replicate there. So you want to make sure you're taking care of your respiratory system right now. A good way to start doing that is, especially when you're home right now, when you're panicked and you're nervous all the time, it's really hard to remember to take a deep breath. So like take deep breaths, like when you're home, when you're not around people who may be infected or whatever, make sure you're taking deep breaths. One thing that we see is that, this virus is affecting people of all different age ranges. Obviously, elderly folks and people who are immune compromised are more likely to develop severe cases that lead to things like pneumonia, which is where your lung tissue like fills with fluid. But younger people are kind of dealing with that as well. So herbs that are really, really good for the respiratory system, especially in cases like this. Pneumonia is a wet condition. Remember when I mentioned like tissue states, like dry, hot, cold, wet? Pneumonia is a boggy, damp, cold tissue state. So, if you're trying to approach this herbally, if you can't breathe, go to the ER. Do you know what I mean? Like, recognize the limits of when herbs are maybe not going to be helpful to you. Like, if you can't breathe and you feel like you can't even get words out, you need to go to the hospital and be taken care of by a doctor. But if you're just kind of feeling like under the weather, I'm a little short of breath, but I'm okay, try herbs like Osha. Osha is a plant that grows in the desert. It's a little bit over harvested, so you can substitute thyme, but those are drying herbs that are kind of going to go deep into the lungs and open everything up and help fight infection deep in the lungs. Mullein is a really great herb for just, that's like a good tonic for the nervous system. In the doctrine of signatures, which is this kind of theory that herbs, if you look at a plant, the way that it looks will kind of tell you a little bit about like how it works in the body. If you've ever seen mullein growing, it's about like 7 feet tall, and it has these big leaves that are really soft and almost have these fine downy hairs on it. And so the hairs on the mullein leaf resemble the cilia, which are the fine hairs in your lungs that move when you breathe to like get crud out of your lungs. So indigenous folks will smoke mullein as cigarettes. I don't think smoking is really good because inhaling smoke is bad for your lungs. But you could take mullein as a tincture. Mullein would be great as a tincture. Yerba Santa is another really great drying and opening herb. Wild cherry bark is helpful for soothing really aggravated coughs. Because, there's a reason why all those old cough syrups tasted like cherry, because back in the day when you went to the pharmacy, they made all their stuff with plants. Do you know what I mean? So that's why cough syrups taste like cherry. So wild cherry bark is good for like just ragged, dry, hacking coughs that there's no good is coming of them. You're not getting any mucus out. You just need to soothe it, and then red clover is another good like general respiratory tonic. It can be blood thinning. So if you take like aspirin on a regular basis or you bruise easily, you might want to avoid the red clover. And then ways to work with respiratory herbs, like I said, facial steams are really good. So breathing in the steam of the herbs, taking them in tincture form is really, really good as well. You can make syrups, you can make cough syrups. Cough syrups are really, really great. There's all kinds of recipes and resources and stuff like that. But yeah, those are just some I think I went on a few tangents, but
you did great.
Thank you. But to sum it up, you want to be taking care of your immune system. If you're not sick, you don't need echinacea. Okay. Astragalus is great. Elderberry is great. Garlic is great. Reishi is great. Chaga is great. Those are great things to help you avoid getting sick. If you're starting to feel a little bit sick and a little bit under the weather, start taking your echinacea. You know what I mean? Take a dropperful every hour or so if you start feeling under the weather. Make sure you're eating good foods. Make sure you're actually taking care of yourself. do whatever, like do whatever you can. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. One of our god sisters just texted me something. I have to get back to her later. She said something funny. Adequate exercise, water, take care of your nervous system. If you're overstimulated, work with your herbs, work with your lemon balm, your passion flower, your skull cap, your milky oats, you know what I mean? Your holy basil, your lemon balm, respiratory herbs, like I said, mullein, osha, yerba sansa, thyme, elecampane. Osha can also be a little hard on the liver. And I promise you, you probably have thyme in your spice rack, and it's probably not like fresh, but if it's all you have and it's all you can afford, don't feel bad because you can't go to the herb shop and buy the organic thyme. Like, don't feel bad. Like, if that's what you have, then pop the lid off of that and you better make a really good cup of tea with that thyme. You know what I mean? Like herbs are not supposed to be like super complicated. There are people who overcomplicate, but work with what you got. You have garlic in your kitchen. Garlic is great for the immune system, Yeah.
You are amazing. You really are. I am so grateful. I got like 3 pages of stuff. But of course, I know that if I need something, I can just call you and be like, okay, Tessa, this is the problem. Hook this up for me.
That's true. You have my number.
I'm a little bit spoiled, but I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I've been wanting you to come on for so long.
Thank you, sweetie. Do we have time for me to do book recommendations?
Yes. Tessa, goddamn it, do what you want to do.
I will. No, I'm just kidding.
I said, wait. I was like, wait a minute. How many books? Okay, so go ahead. Book recommendations.
These are just like 5. So this first one, this is a really old beat up copy. It's still in print. It's called The Way of Herbs by Michael Tierra. So this is just a beat up old little raggedy copy from the used bookstore. You can probably get it at a used bookstore. This is one of my favorite books. There's not as much information about like specific herbs as there is about like the principles and like energetics of Southern folk medicine, which I'm from Southern Appalachia originally. I was born and raised in Western North Carolina, and I come from a family of like legit hillbilly people. And my great aunt was, an herbalist. She dug up roots to sell at the market. My great grandmother was a midwife and an herbalist. You know what I mean? So this book is really great for people who are like from the South, who are interested in more folksy ways of doing things, which I really, 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 really like. This book is amazing. It's by Phyllis Light, and she's based in Alabama, and she does really, really, really amazing classes. So if you're in Alabama or whatever, after all this is said and done, take a class with Phyllis if you can. Another one is Medicinal Plants of Southern Appalachia. This is the passion flower I was mentioning. This is really, really great.
I have that one.
This book is great. This is great. It takes you through like different herbs, how to use them, how to take them, different medicinal preparations. It's really accessible too. So that's another good one. Medicinal Plants of Southern Appalachia by Patricia Caristi Howell is a great one. All-time favorite. One of my teachers wrote this book. This is by Rosemary Gladstar. It's called Herbal Recipes for Vibrant Health. And this book has sections on, let's see here, taming stress and anxiety, herbal remedies for everyday ailments, herbal recipes for radiant beauty, like making your own beauty products, herbs for kids, herbs for women, herbs for men, herbs for elders. It teaches you kind of like pretty much everything you need to just take care of your family with herbs. I love this book. I tend to be suspicious of people who are herbalists, but they don't have this book. It's such a beautiful and such a sweet book. I'm like, where's your Rosemary Gladstar book? I don't know. And then
that is so you. Oh my God, that's so you. Okay, go ahead.
And then this one, for those of you who like to get a little bit more scientific with it, you like to know the names of the chemicals and the constituents, and you want to get a little bit out there with like the science, a little bit more like in depth. This would be more of like an advanced book, but it's called Herbal Medicine from the Heart of the Earth by Dr. Cheryl Marie Tilgner. And if you hunt it, you can hunt it down on YouTube, but there's a video of her in the 90s with her like 90s park ranger khaki shorts on. And and she's doing an herb walk Pacific Northwest, so like in the Seattle area, where she's showing the plants growing and talks about, you know, their medicinal properties and stuff like that.
Is that it?
I think for folks to start with.
Uh-oh. Tessa, I think you froze.
Hello?
Okay, you're still here, but your picture froze.
I think I did too. I'm fine now.
Okay, there you go.
Am I still frozen?
No, you're here, babe. Oh my God, I love you, crazy. So are you?
There was a glitch in the
Do
matrix.
you have to leave? I know that's kind of what it looked like you were.
Oh no, I'm good for about 5 more minutes.
Okay, so I want you to take that last few minutes and tell people, how do they get in contact with you? Where can they find you?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Ritual Remedies. I also have a little page on Facebook too. And so yeah, if you go there, you know, you can send me a message. I have links to be able to book readings, or on my Facebook page, I have ways to book like herbal wellness consults. The price I have for the herbal wellness consults on there is $47, which would be it's like a half hour to 45 minutes or so. But if you're like in rough financial times, like I understand, I get it, just shoot me a private message. We can work it out. I can invoice you instead or whatever. I can also point you in directions for like books and resources and for other herbalists and things like that. But yeah, mainly through Instagram and that Facebook page is where people can find me.
Do you also do your readings through there too, Tessa, through your Instagram?
I do. I read tarot, and I also read Spanish playing cards.
Okay. And what about baths and things like that? As a Mambo, do you create baths for people to mail out? Can you do that?
I can.
Okay, Mambo. Well, you know, I love you, and I am so grateful for you.
Too.
Thank you so much for being here. You shared so much information. I miss
you.
I miss you too, but y'all are wilding out in New Orleans. Can't nobody come there for a little bit?
I'm not. I'm in my house.
I know, and it's good. You should stay safe, but I will promise you, we got to have some lavender wine when I come down.
Yes, and some Mexican food.
Oh my God, girl, that's all it is. I guess be safe, and really think about doing the herb of the day or the herb of the week on your page. I think you should.
I think I will. That sounds like a really awesome idea. I'm going to do that.
All right. Okay, I love you.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you too.
Anytime.
And thank you, Miss Lena, for hosting the Zoom.
Yes, thank you, Lena.
We're in the future. Do you remember like seeing on like sci-fi about like you could talk to people through the video?
Oh my girl, we haven't even touched it. It's so much technology out there. I don't even know what the fuck to do with it. So
the future is now. It's time. The future is now.
Crazy though, right?
It's too much. It's a lot.
We gotta grow. We gotta grow with it. So go ahead.
Right,
I know you gotta get to your event, and we will talk soon. All right.
All right. I love you.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye everybody.
Love. Bye everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
That was freaking amazing.